there's any doubt about that. And
Isn't it, Peter?
lots of people are doing it. I mean, if people ask me for advice on what to do, and they say, what should we do about this country? I say, well, the last general election, I really tried. I said to everybody who read my column, I said, whatever you do, you must not under any circumstances vote for the Conservative Party. The one thing that you mustn't do is that, because you can't, in this country, you can't sack the government. You get the same government whoever you vote for. But this is a unique opportunity to sack the opposition. And the response of my readers was fury. They were enraged with this. They had some bizarre idea that David Cameron was a secret Conservative and would rip off his clothes like Superman after the election and reveal himself to be a Conservative, which was obviously...
Well, so let's get on to the heart of it. So what is it that you don't like about... What is it that you don't like about the Conservative Party, Peter? What is it that you don't like about the Conservative Party? Give me 3 examples.
Much quicker the list of things I like to
well, give me 3 examples of what you don't like. Well, give me 3 examples.
3 examples?
Three leading examples, 3 priorities that you think they've got wrong. See, it's harder, isn't it? It's harder.
No, it's not. It's not hard. I just want to go back so many squares down the game of snakes and ladders to the point where one still cares.
Well, I'll give you time to think, because isn't it rather comfortable to sit on the sidelines, lamenting the decline of the country and the dissolution of a moral society?
What are these sidelines? I would love to be in parliamentary politics.
Well,
people like me are completely debarred from parliamentary politics because the MPs in this country are not selected by the electorate. The electorate is given pre-selected people who've been selected by the political parties, which are tightly organised and which exclude anybody who has any ideas of any originality from being considered for election. And then at elections they vote tribally.
So why don't you step off the sidelines and stand? Why don't you stand? I know.
Because none of the parties would let me stand in a safe seat.
So what would the...
And even if I could manage to get through that and pretend not to be myself and even one member of Parliament in a house of more than 600 people can have no effect whatever on the destiny of the country. The only way in which the country can be altered is if there's a political party with which you broadly sympathise, with which you can work and whose work you can take. In a parliamentary system, that's how it works. So anybody, with my opinions, is debarred automatically from having any influence. It's great frustration in my life. I can say things and people will come up to me and shake my hand in the street, as they often embarrassingly do, to say how much they agree with me. But and there are quite a lot of people who feel that way, but there is absolutely no point, no sprocket which connects what I say and think with the government of this country. There's nothing that I can...
So, Peter, while I give you more time to think of your 3 things you don't like about the Conservative Party...
I can, let me give you the first and most fundamental one. Any party which is not prepared to commit itself to leaving the European Union is abdicating almost all responsibility for political action of any kind anyway. Because if you don't leave the European Union, then most of what you do will be implementing directives given to you by the European Union rather than acting independently. Until this country is independent, then it doesn't have a government, and it's not independent at the moment. It's difficult to calculate just exactly how many of the laws of this country originate in the European Commission, but it's round about 80%. If you put in the statutory instruments by which most of these things are done. Most of them, from the Data Protection Act to the Disability Discrimination Act, to the destruction of the post office and the privatisation of the Royal Mail, to the fact that in most parts of the country you now have to separate your rubbish into 3 different bins. These are all things imposed on us by the European Union. You may like them. You may be in favour of privatising the post office. You may believe, for instance, that windmills are a better source of power than coal-fired power stations. But none of these things have been chosen by this country, by its electorate or by its parliament. They've all been imposed upon it by the European Union. When you have a country whose detailed governance is done from somewhere else, then you cannot claim to be the government when you're there. So the Conservative Party, by refusing to commit itself to departing from the European Union, is, to begin with, cutting itself off from most.
I'm going to stop you there.
Most decisions.
Peter, I'm going to stop you there.
So the other ones I could come on to.
Yeah, we'll come on to those later. Yeah. I'm not going to go head to head with you on whether we should leave the European Union, because businessmen would make the economic case for staying in better than I would. But
there is no economic case.
But feel free to ask your question, especially any businessmen or businesswomen out there. But I want to move on to moral.
But there is no economic case.
I want to move on to moral and social politics.
Mexico has a better deal with the European Union.
I want to move on to moral